I don't think people understand how important this is, that this is not just a buy and burn. This is a brand new mechanism, never been done with a token before. So it's not just a mechanism to buy and burn from a single individual pool. For goodness sakes, he used a DEX aggregator to find the best route execution for the buy and burn over all the pools. And I think that is, especially if you're going to be a liquidity provider, if you guys believe in the ecosystem and you want to put.
Oops, did anybody else lose Kinetics, or is that just me?
Yeah, we just lost Kinetics, but also I just started a recording. So the Nips will be back momentarily. And yeah, we'll get him back in. Our dear friend, Crypto Dev Business, one of the mods in both channels, has a sleeping girlfriend, so he can't be on voice. But I know
liquidity to support system, and this is going to.
Oh, he's on a roll. I almost feel bad letting him know.
I know. Like, I want to hear this.
Hey, Kool-Aid.
Hey. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing decent.
Good. Well, when Kinetics is back. Oh, no, you were on a roll. Whatever you were doing, refire the fire, because you caught in and out. But I'm excited to hear what the Nipples just had to say that we couldn't hear.
Well, I apologize. My internet just cut out for some reason. And I could still hear you guys, but I couldn't talk. It was the weirdest thing. But one thing that I think is absolutely amazing on this is, if you guys are here at all for the tech, this is amazing, guys. You have a buy and burn for a token that it goes directly through a DEX aggregator for the best order execution amongst all pairs out there. Doesn't matter if it's paired with SolidX, which I saw someone just created a SolidX PGIFF pool. Pulse, I saw someone set up a PGIFF GIF pool. It doesn't matter. There's going to be a buy and burn available through all of these different order executions that, fortunately, we have the ability to do using Pateus, which is way better than any DEX aggregator I've seen on any other chains, including Ethereum, because if you're an American citizen like myself, you can't use 1inch anymore. So unless you're using a virtual machine or you've got a VPN. But regardless, the point is that this is brand new tech, and it was created just for this token as a testing bed, which has kind of become its own monster of a meme all on its own. Because look at how this thing, the original GIF token, has pumped, and no one's even been talking about it. No streamers have been talking about it. No one in Telegram has been talking about it. There's 72 people in this room right now, 14 people listening. And look at what this coin has done already. And we just got started. We don't even have a UI yet for the PGIF, for the PermaBull GIF. So I'm really excited about this. I think it's really cool. I think it just lends credence to the brilliance of Gifford, and the fact that we already had the plans of applying this to Pulsar is just really looking good for us, because many more people are going to be aware of Pulsar than they are of the Giffordware token.
Because we've been hinting at it in plain sight. And actually, as of this morning, there were only 56 people in the room. So 30 people just joined, or what, 1/3 more after we just launched. So this thing's been running for 2 months as a pink elephant in plain sight. And to Knipples' point, we built the Pulsar pathway so we would have the thickest version of Titan X Pulsar without the ability to buy and burn it, because the way that the buy and burn done on the Ethereum side has to route through that V3 contract. So we knew we'd get the thickest liquidity of the assets to create and use the magic that we're building in Pulsar from the very get-go. Now we've built some delicious solving systems that allows our buy and burn to move through all the aggregators at the same time. So to create Pulsar, the buy and burn from the Ethereum side doesn't affect the Pulsar thickness of the liquidity pool that we're building, but the PermaGIFF buy and burn will. And same thing with Pulsar. Remember, Gifford Tech, not Gifford Token, is what this pink elephant happens to be.
Solid. Well done.
So we got my dear friend had a couple points. Do you want to check out a crypto business's questions? I mean, obviously he's going to try to speak, but he's got a sleeping lady, and we know rule number one is always make the wife happy. So, do you want to go over those points that he put? Yeah, there you go.
So, first one says, what will be the link between Pulsar and GIF/Gifford, if any? I think the best way to answer that, and I'll elaborate, I promise, but the explanation of what the GIF token is, the Giffordware token is on Dex Screener and on the website, giffordware.win, both explain it the best. This token was created and built upon for one reason and one reason alone, to experiment on. I don't feel like there is enough emphasis on really experimenting and proving your points on what you're trying to deliver to the industry if you can't point to obvious case scenarios where it actually works. And one of the things is everybody comes out with these tokens, or they say I'm going to take a sacrifice, or you got to plan on this or that, and that is somehow going to deliver some amazing new tech that is going to change change the whole crypto realm. I don't have a problem with that, but I just feel like there's like a better way to do it. And the way I want to do it is I want to experiment. I want to prove my points. I'm not just about talking, I'm about proving. I'm going to do the work. I'm going to put in the work, and you might not even know I've been working until it launches, just like with PermaGIFF. This has been in production for 2 months, and I've kept it very close to my chest, and in true respect to the people that I've learned from. And I just want to be as upfront and honest as possible. This is an experiment, nothing more. I don't advise anybody buys these tokens. I don't advise anybody invests. I don't advise anybody does anything other than speculate. That's all we do in crypto anyways, is we speculate. So long story short, there was a particular tokenomic that I was extremely interested in, that I kind of, with the help of my team, kind of sussed out, which was perma-bull tokenomics. It took me months to come up with the terminology for this thing that I believe existed. So this is my opportunity to put this forward and prove my point that this is actually viable. And not only is this viable, this is the hottest thing in crypto in general. And I'm going to prove it by essentially showcasing what PermaGIFF can do and what impact it has on the Gifford token in general. So the link is proving the tokenomics. I'm not done. All of the new tokenomics, the new kind of idea of rationalizing what is crypto, how does it come into be, everything we've talked about on Pulsar, that's something I want to test. Obviously, I want to launch Pulsar. I do. And I'm working very hard to get that launched as well. But the link, if any, is that I'm proving points on everything we've talked about on Pulsar, everything we want to build and launch. I want to showcase on Gifford Tech, everything. I want to prove that it's a real thing. What mechanics will be added to these products and systems? Who knows? All I know is that this is a test bed, and I'm going to continue to build testing on this, and I'm going to add, I want to add new style tokenomics. I want to add new mechanisms. I want to add everything I can to showcase all the theories that we have as a team that we want to bring forward. Right? That's the best I can put it. Is there a structure that fills up the LP pools? There is no structure on this one. So with Pulsar, that is one of the amazing innovations that we've sussed out over the last 5-6 months is, how do we automate bridging and force LP pools? Currently, between Gifford and PermaGIFF, There is no mechanism for that. I would love to prove that, and I'm very interested in omni-chain transactions currently, and I'm surrounded by devs who literally are writing the books of these sort of things. So I'm very interested in it, but there is no promise or expectations along those guidelines. It's kind of a miracle any of this works in the first place. So this is all new territory. Is there a structure that fills up the LP? Oh, yeah, I just talked about that. How will a buy and burn be added? Or B&B? I assume that's buy and burn. The buy and burn exists. And we can talk a little bit more. I think maybe the dude, or if there's any other devs in the chat, you can ask more specific questions on the smart contracts in particular, because there were some very interesting moves we had to make on how all this works. So if you guys have particular questions, I think it would be better if you just ask those specifics than for me to go on other rants, because I'm already ranting more than I should. So hopefully that answers that up good. Mr. Crypto Kool-Aid, is there anything I should add or anything I need to clarify a little bit more on?
Can't see the video, but no, I think you're not ranting. You're hitting all the notes right on the head and explaining it surgically, which is why I love you to death, because you speak very fluently and can explain it simply. I think all those notes are individually correct, because we don't teach people. I've said it from Hexco for the last 4 years. We tell people why, not what to buy. And that's why the air quote term experiment is correct. But what it is the same thing that we are building infrastructure on the Pulsar side, right? Pulsar is an infrastructure pass. Gifford is a builder pass. Experiment and or speculate all you want. But for us, these are bedrock components on the things that we highly value and would like to see. And also has the same paradigms like the dude, pop back up if you're still there. We want people building not just on our ideals, but those mindsets together as a unit, and as a phalanx, we win. DeFi for all is about evolving together as a unit, not us or them. So, yeah, anyone else with ideas? I think Connor had a question, and I'm trying to figure out if my camera's working yet or where the chat is. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'll just add one disclaimer. The most obvious problem right now is because, first of all, we're all extremely early in this. Whether it's an experiment that's going to fail or it's going to just like be amazing, we're extremely early, and I am working on the front end immediately after I get off this chat, and we're going to get that put up so that you all can burn GIF in order to mint the PermaGIF. So that is in the routes, but the PermaGIF contract and the GIF contract are both verified on scan.pulsechain.com. So you are able to interact with the smart contract directly. So if anybody has any particular questions on that, please ask. With that being said, good buddy of mine and ally is Mr. Kinetics, and he was posting some amazing notes earlier on. I was hoping if you wouldn't mind just saying a few words on that, Mr. Kinetics.
Yeah, admin and be best.
You're breaking up a bit, bud.
Okay. How about now?
Now you're good.
Okay. So yeah, there's those notes that are in there. Since I'm not an admin, maybe it'd be helpful to pin those up. I don't know if I'm going to get around to doing like a PDF version of a walkthrough on it, but once you've done it once, it's actually very, very simple. You just have to understand that a few simple steps, like approving the original GIF approve amount, and then going back to the new contract and putting in the amount, and then making sure you hit the times 10 to the 18th power button, because that's how the blockchain reads it in GUI. And then putting that same number in there that you put in initially plus an extra zero for the actual pulse chain fee. So if that can be pinned, that would be great. That might be helpful to some people until that UI is up for them to be able to easier do that. But I kind of like that there's not a front end right now, because very few of you are actually trying to mint this thing, and too many of you are trying to buy. Like, we're above the ceiling price right now on this token, and I'm okay with that. So you guys can go ahead and continue buying that if you like to do so.
Well, I mean, that's an interesting point of reference. Like, we are telling you, don't buy PGIF right now. If you already listened to the Casa Healing ceiling, well, I mean, you are, but like, you know, at the end of the day, we're trying to teach you.
Well, I'm joking.
Well,
I'm joking. I want everyone to learn, just as you saying, Crypto Kool-Aid, like that. This is an education thing. Like, you guys should really delve yourselves into those instructions and just learn how to write from the blockchain for future reference on future projects. I think you'll find it incredibly useful whenever a UI goes down, knowing how to interact with a smart contract.
Yep,
I'll second that 100%.
Hey, it's the dude. You're back. What's going on, man? Ask some questions. I'm excited to get you to actually talk to a Gifford for the first time.
Yeah, I guess initial question is, I kind of scanned through PGIF and GIF, and I guess I understand that, but the buy and burn, the first thing I noticed is it's saying it's a proxy contract. So I'm kind of curious, what made you? I guess I don't fully understand why you would want to do that. Could you explain why you went with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the main reason why it's a proxy contract is to essentially make it upgradable. So we wanted to really push the envelope and utilize, and you may or may not be familiar with this, Mr. Dude, but there is a prominent member of the Pulse Chain community. His name is KG, or Brother KG, as some people know him, and he's the founder of a Pulse Chain centric wallet, crypto wallet known as Internet Money, and he's got an in-wallet swap that actually aggregates on top of aggregators. So it could use Pateus, or it could use the balancer fork for particularly trading large volumes between two different stable coins to get best order execution. And in the process, it actually burns one of the tokens that really brought a lot of us Hexicans together in the first place, known as Hex. It uses a part of the fee to buy and burn Hex. So I really wanted to use the Internet Money aggregator or the router, so that we can kind of just be a positive member of the community. And I'm not completely giving up yet, but early this morning, as we thought we were really good on utilizing that swapping route for the buy and burn, it was failing repetitively, and we just could not figure out a fix for it. So we chose as a team to kind of move forward without using the Internet Money router system and use the Pateus directly. So the only way you could really do that effectively, at least in our dev environment, is we have to use a proxy contract, so that there is the proxy is actually running a lot of the scripts that reinforce the buy and burn. So that's the primary reason for it. And by doing so, when you run an aggregator, you're essentially hitting an API for a price quote. And I promise I won't get too technical on this, but to answer the dude's question as best as I can for now, when you do that, you get this API call back, and that is like the quote, the price quote, when you go in to initiate the swap for the buy and burn. And essentially, the problem is that somebody can actually enforce a replay attack on you and drain the buy and burn and just keep replaying the transaction. So we had to initiate our own nonce technology, which, as you know, in all wallet transactions, there's a nonce, and that is protecting your general wallet from replay attacks. So we had to initiate that into our buy and burn. So I feel like I went way into the weeds on that, but This is like I've been saying, this is an experimental ecosystem. Giffer Tech is experimental 110%. So there is no ethos that we're really trying to stay within the rails on. We're doing our best to do what's right, but the only way we could innovate in this scenario was by using a proxy contract, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess I see what you're saying. That's definitely a drawback in my eyes. Just that's really what drew me into crypto, is the immutability part of things. But I understand what you're saying, and it is what it is. And sadly, I'd say 99% of the people don't even know what a proxy contract is, and therefore don't give two shits about it. So, but I guess so. I wasn't able to scan the code because of it's a aggregator. So this is can you explain just like the simple like flow of how the buy and burn works? Sorry, my cats are loud. Just it's directing only with PermaGIFF.
Oh, like on the specific, like the routes, like what's happening within the route. Is that what you're asking?
No, I guess like what's going into the buy and burn. I guess PLS is going into that, and then it's buying and burning PGIF. Is that what's happening?
Oh, yeah, the routing. So yeah, that's what is happening is during the minting process of the PermaGIFF token. A user must essentially burn Gifford or the GIF token and paid a protocol fee in the process. And that protocol fee is then being earmarked for this buy and burn, which when run will actually run through an aggregator. So here's the big thing. I completely respect your thoughts on that, like using a proxy contract. And, honestly, in the past, early in crypto, for as long as I've been around, proxy contracts have been kind of the enemy in a lot of ways, because they're able to be used in a lot of nefarious ways. So I completely respect your opinion on that. The thing that I find the most interesting, though, is is it possible to actually automate a buy and burn that's a publicly callable function that aggregates across multiple dexes to give you the best order execution? And I think you, of all people, will understand how an ecosystem can drive the creation of LP pools in a specific way and almost like shun everybody who wants to make different LP pools, or builders who wants to do different things and that sort of thing. And you cannot control where LP pools are made, the amount that is put in LP pools, or how people will trade their tokens. This is all uncontrollable factors. And anybody who tries to pretend that you can control this all in one ecosystem is just living a pipe dream, straight up. So how do you build a buy and burn that is not calling one particular pool? This is how you do it. This is the innovation. So we do have to kind of like take a concession and say, I don't really like proxy contracts at all, because I've had terrible experiences with them. But also it allows for innovation, and the proxy owner can renounce ownership at any given time. So that should be known and noted, that there is a path towards decentralization, but you cannot rightfully test and prove that all the funds that are be moving to a buy and burn contract that's using a buy and burn in this innovative way without risking the inevitable fact that you could be pumping a contract full of a ton of native tokens that can never be used if the buy and burn fails. So the only way to protect those funds of user funds that are earmarked to buy and burn the token is to use a proxy contract. There is no other way that I'm aware of. So this is why the whole ecosystem is built on straight up. We are testing things And we have reasons why we use certain mechanisms, and it's to innovate. Because if you're not innovating in crypto, then you're basically just waiting to be not important, essentially irrelevant. So this is the reason why we're moving in this direction. And sorry, I was ranting again. So feel free to jump in and ask any more questions or give me any more your feelings or thoughts.
And one pen to just go ahead, dude.
My first thought is it's a lot easy. Like, and I'm not trying to harp ride your ass. I'm just being open and honest. But my first thought was it's easy for you as the developer to feel comfortable with a proxy because you yourself know you're not going to rug, or you're not going to be sliding off a little percentage of all these funds into your own personal wallet, or just anything like that. And my also second thoughts were like, it doesn't have to be the only buy and burn, right? Like you could still point the PGIF token to like a V2 option, kind of like how Jake's had his V1 and V2 buy and burn, and it's redesigned and they each have their own funds. That's something that might interest you. I don't know. I totally understand what you're saying again with like, this is very innovative and would be ridiculously hard to write a smart contract for. But I do know like you can get price, you can query these dexes, right? And get the price of different LPs. And I don't know, it might be too gas intensive to do. I don't know. That's definitely the limits of my developing skills. Like I wouldn't be able to begin to design an aggregator smart contract. But just my initial thoughts.
So one thing that before GIF responds is I want to take a note that those of us that are hexagons know the whole admin key free ideology. And ideally, that's also a blanket term for not understanding that sometimes things need to be upgraded. In game dev land, we now have something called a day one patch. So that means we have to go through so much silly shit just to get it through certification so it works good enough. And then by the time the discs are minted, they're mailed out, the wrappers are done, people buy them and it's off the shelf. You put your little disc in, the first thing it's going to say is update. So before, when you need real-time stuff to see it in real time, so that way you don't have a whoopsie moment, that is really the difference in our ideals on when renouncing would happen. Anyway, please go ahead and respond, GIF.
I think the hardest thing to get over, and I hear you about Jake's V2, but just to be clear, he's not pulling from a new source. So it's actually irrelevant what he does with the V2. It's just sourcing a new pool for where all the ETH goes. But to answer your question in more general, at least the way I would like to answer it, or just like your general thoughts, because I respect your thoughts and everything and your feelings on it. The DEX aggregators are upgradable aggregators. So what I mean by that is if Pateus or Internet Money or whichever aggregator we use, if there is a critical bug in that aggregator and they have to upgrade their versions, all of the, in our case, Pulse tokens, the native tokens, would go into an address that could never be retrievable. So the biggest reason, and this comes from the devs who built these aggregators. I spoke one-on-one with multiple of them. I'm doing business with one of them. You cannot relay a price quote through an aggregator without making it upgradable. It's just, the technology is just not there yet. I hope that it does come true and that we get that kind of tech. But if there's something wrong with their aggregator and they have to upgrade from V2 to V3 or whatever the case may be, then we're left in the water. Like overnight, all of the funds, all the value of everything we built basically goes to zero. And that was just a risk that I was not willing to take. And so this is another one of those reasons why, you've gotta take it on the chin when you innovate and realize that people may not be comfortable with the way you do it.
I totally understand. And I guess the only other thing you could really do that would make everything better would just to have some kind of DAO and a multi-signature wallet that has owner keys. That would definitely make a lot of things easier. Because to me, that's how that's how I look at Helios. Like, we're allowed to have additional knobs and features that you couldn't normally have because we have a DAO, and people can trust that it's not, I'm not just another Jake just turning knobs all willy-nilly, to whatever suits him best.
Amen to that, by the way, brother.
And I cite second and third that point. And we internally, Kinetics, Gifford and I have been poking at stuff for years now behind the scenes. We believe in that mythos mentality. So tip of the hat, and we 1000% agree. The ship needs to be driven correctly, not just the tech be built correctly.
You guys have any plans on that? Like for me, I would like to have 9+ DAO members, but obviously you can't just find them at front. It's a slow process. It started with me launching and having all the keys, and then now I've distributed 3 keys to 3 other individuals. And then as I go, it'll increase in size. Like, do you guys have any, is this where y'all are trying to take it, or what is y'all's future with GIF and Pulsar?
Well, let me ask you this real quick. You're talking about on Ethereum where you have Gnosis Safe and you can do multi-sigs, right?
Oh, yeah. I guess I'm a noob to Pulse Chain, so I guess lay it down on me.
That's not an option on Pulse Chain. Gnosis Safe is not compatible with Pulse Chain currently, but you bet your bottom dollar I am attempting to raise funds to build a dev team that is capable of bringing it to Pulse Chain, but currently is not available.
That sucks. So I guess what brings you guys? Y'all are Hex. I'm new to Pulse Chain and Hex, so any additional backstory on that to help me understand the allure to Pulse Chain would be awesome as well.
Well, let's make it quick because there's a bunch of questions that I still want to talk about on.
Yeah, I'm getting way sidetracked. Just ignore that and let's move on. My bad.
1 second, dude. No, we would love to actually talk with you deeper about this. You and I have been ping-ponging behind the scenes since you launched. About a whole bunch of stuff. But not only do we love the value of this conversation, we love builders that actually have foresight. So don't think that just because we have other things to pop around on, that's not a very good point, and we'd love to talk to you more.
Cool, man.
I'm going to step away for a sec, so go ahead and pop more questions in, guys.
I got a question. If you guys are taking them,
Please go ahead.
what's the point of going from the GIF token to the PGIF token? It's 1-to-1 burnable. I get that, but what's the difference here? Why would somebody with the GIF token want to change over to the PGIF token?
My goodness, Connor, you just asked the best question of the day. Yeah, this is the dilemma that we're trying to suss out here. I've been using that word a lot today, suss out. The idea is you've got the GIF token who has, was all pre-minted, 1 billion total, and you cannot create any more. So the real idea of the experiment is with Pulsar, for example, what we were building with Pulsar is that Titan X is a big part of Pulsar. That is going to be the other half of what is required to mint Pulsar, just like GIF is required to mint PermaGIF. So the big difference between the two is anything that's minted from Titan X can hold the title of fair launch token. If it's derived from Titan X, it's fair launch. Anybody with a little bit of ETH and some time to wait can mine your Titan X, right? So that makes a fair launch. The opposite end of the spectrum is a centralized launch. And the interesting part about that is that it does have a tendency to really be able to pump in value in general, like just generally speaking. So if we took a token that was essentially entirely 100% Open Zeppelin copy paste and just created this generic token with a set supply, but now we're able to send some of that supply to the dead address, like how will that impact the overall value or the overall supply in terms of your supply versus demand sort of mechanics. So that was kind of the main reason we wanted to see how that would really play out. Now, which token is better holding? That's the real question. I'm more interested to hear what all your guys' ideas are, because you have a scenario where you have a token that is now deflationary and will only be deflationary versus a token that you can mint and is reinforced by the highest buy and burn in any ecosystem. It takes a substantial amount of PLS, at least in current market term conditions, to mint PermaGIF. And the vast majority of that, 90% to be exact, is going to be earmarked for the buy and burn, which will then be used with an aggregator to make it even more efficient to reinforce its value long term. So it's a situation where you've got one asset that is deflationary, that is needed to drive the ecosystem forward. And on the other hand, you have the new token that is the first ever token created from creation, not inflation, that is tied to a perma bull tokenomic of where you take a protocol fee in, and the majority of that protocol fee is used to buy and burn the token you just minted, which means you cannot mint or arbitrage in a way that hurts the ecosystem. If you mint, you're permanently bullish. If you arbitrage just to make a few dollars because it's above the ceiling price, you're permanent bullish. That economic energy goes into permabull or PermaGIF and can never be removed. So you've got two ends of a spectrum here that are both very, very interesting to see how it kind of plays out. So I'm sorry I couldn't answer your question directly, but it was a fantastic question. I'm more interested to hear what everybody else thinks.
Is the fee per GIF modifiable?
Nope, that is permanent. So that is another part of the experiment. We're going to see how it plays out. So with it being 10 PLS per GIF that you send in to burn in order to mint the PGIF, that is permanent. That cannot be changed. So that being said, it is very much tied to the value of PLS as a token in its whole.
And this is separate. How does this link to Pulsar?
These
I guess
tokens,
you're going to build. So
yeah, sorry, I jumped in there too soon. These tokenomics are the same tokenomics we're using in Pulsar. The only difference is really PermaGIF is coming from a more centralized ownership perspective where you have a limited supply. And Pulsar is coming from more of a free launch or fair launch kind of narrative or ecosystem where, you can use a fair launch token in order to mint. But these are tokenomics that we're going to be using in Pulsar as well. We're just here to try to prove its value currently.
Right. So you'll have a perma Pulsar token?
No, actually, Pulsar is the perma token. And GIF is like the Titan X token in this scenario.
Gotcha.
Furthermore, one other point is, I rattle on about people that use the term game theory. Well, theory doesn't actually give you expectations. Execution does. And that's why, again, this is air quote, an experimental tech that we're doing in real time live to make sure that the things that we bootstrap and build on Pulsar actually work. Don't have a weird T rank inflation bug or any of those other things that happen in real time. And believe me, Gifford is anal about actually cutting all the fat and checking all the boxes to make sure that just even the user experience from gas swaps to hops is taken care of. And we'd rather develop something that executes flawlessly rather than not. And how else do you do that rather than either sticking it in hard hat or doing it in real time on live chain? So again, Gifford Tech is the fulcrum for us understanding and building what we're utilizing and wrapping into the entire Pulsar ecosystem moving forward.
Mr. Maximus J, are you available? I must have caught him busy. I just wanted to put him on the spot.
Yeah.
You're always there's my boy. There's my boy.
What's happening, guys?
What's up? We just wanted to hear your voice and throw around some thoughts or questions or whatever you want to talk about. I know even with the people closest to us, they were all kind of shocked about the launch of PermaGIFF today. So whatever you want to vent about or ask questions about, whatever, man, you're golden around here.
No. I had no idea that this launched already. I was like, yo, what the fuck? Yeah, so I didn't realize that was done. And so, yeah, just catching up, trying to figure out what's going on. Trying to remember what you told me before about how it all operated.
So a little bit of history. Mr. Maximus J, Kinetics, and I were all in the his trading group back in 2017 during the crazy Ponzi days. And I remember his group was trading, people had to trade bread. But back when we had Ether Delta and all of those fun things. So Mr. Maximus J is a very old hat. And funny enough, we all just came together at a clockwork 6+ years later.
Yeah, funny how that works. Hey, I'm excited for this. And, again, calling it an experiment because I don't really know what else you would call it. But, yeah, I just feel like innovation like this is necessary, especially right now, to where it just seems like things in crypto are going more towards traditional banking directions. Everything's kind of getting bunched up and, teams are being created and things like that. And it just seems like when that starts to happen, the innovation has already kind of stopped. And there are some chains, some teams that have already kind of stopped innovating. And I don't think that was really the point of crypto, personally. So I'm excited to be on this end of it, where kind of pushing the envelope, see what's possible to hopefully lead to a place where, I don't know, better financial products exist. If that's really what we're going for, something like that, I think.
Yeah, I think experimenting in real time is absolutely necessary. Again, I always go back to my pedigree of Arcane, which is systemic sandwiched, or what I call accordion game theory. If you want to use game theory as a term, use accordion, because that's multiple systems built on each other. And the only thing you can do is speculate at that time, because it's a real-time biome that has to react in real time. And you never know what's going to happen with that stuff. But the question is, how do you say yes to the player when those things exist? And that inherently is the interesting thing, what you just hit on the head of. People stop innovating because it's hard versus what is easy. And we are the type of people, all of us on Core, Jay Gold, Crypto Dev Business, my dear friend, all of us that want to come work with us to try to build something that actually has legs to evolve, not become static because challenges are hard.
Yeah, I think that's really the more important thing is like people should be paying attention to, especially a team like this, is what we're doing. Just pay attention to what we're doing. And like, if you really want to get ahead, just start taking the things that are working and then grouping those all together in your own thing. If like you're a developer or, you want to go and do your own thing, is because like that's where the goal is trying to figure out like what are the bits and pieces of Hex that worked? What are the bits and pieces of Titan X that worked of what we're doing here? And you just got to keep iterating until you find like the best of everything, and you keep launching those types of chains or products, let's call them, out there, and see like what you get.
100. And it's not about copying something; it's about digesting it. It's about bringing the spirit of the pose for those that are artists that did figure all the rest, which I'm horrible at. But the gesture, the spirit of the pose, is what you want to have as a full fulcrum and forefront on when you develop base and, as I called forever, run free simulations on. You should always build on the bones of giants. Why not? One wheel is worth nothing. 2 wheels is a sled. When you get 4 wheels, now you have a car or cart or something that's usable with wheels. But you don't get there from the beginning. So that means you have to be nimble moving forward. And with this archetype that we have from carrier pigeon maximalism, fax machine maximalism to now high-speed internet and or DeFi for all, we have to be nimble in how we create and set the precedence, if you will, on what we're trying to do or what should be done in a free market, decentralized community, right?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. We're kind of living through a golden age, and I think a lot of people don't realize that. It's like we can create our own money for the first time that we know of in history. I mean, maybe it existed before, but that history is gone. So we have no clue when and where that might have occurred in the past. But right now we do. And so it's like, I don't know. I personally think stuff like this is fun. And if you're not having fun with it, then you should do something else because, like we're on the cusp of something amazing here with just crypto in general,
The epoch of time is crazy between DeFi for all, AI, everything that's happening right now, income inequality. It's a very interesting golden age, as you hit it right on the head.
Yeah, I'll have to say for sure, my girl has to rip me away from the laptop on a daily basis because I'm so enthralled by this entire space. And I 100% agree that this is absolutely the future. Like, there's no avoiding it. Like, once the UI's there and normies come in, like it's here for sure, no doubt. Another question. Go ahead.
No, I was saying always remember rule number 1: make sure the wifey's happy. So when your girlfriend rips you away, that's actually a good breathing point. You should take those. But anyway, please go ahead, sir.
How does the I do oblige for the most part. But how does the buy and burn get called? Is it like a public function or like is this an owner function? Like how is it automated? What's the rates on it? That kind of thing.
So it's a public function. However, you would have to write your own script to run it without our front end. So it's a little complicated using the aggregator, but it obviously will be a publicly callable function with all the scripting needed on our front end when it goes live, hopefully here in a couple days.
So and then you guys set a burn cap and a frequency rate, I guess, like a normal, like our buy and burns.
So it's actually really interesting. So when you call a quote to an aggregator, you can't just set a maximum. You have to set a specific amount. Otherwise, the quote doesn't know what to return for you. So the way it's set up is very similar to what you're used to, right? With your, I believe, fairly similar with your protocol, if not more similar with Titan X, where there is a settings function that you can call, that the owner of the buy and burn contract can call, I should say, and it would set the amount of the quote and the frequency, as well as slippage tolerance, if you want to change that. If that answers your question, it's very similar to what you're used to.
Yeah, it's definitely what I was looking for. What's your strategy on it? Like, I'm curious, like Jake basically cranks it through the roof to create this ROI. And I know this is different because you guys aren't mining or anything, but he has it super high and then cranks it super low and basically lets the charts, massive green candles, massive red candles. No doubt he's going to do it again and just print massive green candles when the time's right. Like, are you guys gonna do you guys want to go with that, or like more like just like a set flat rate that's like slow and low type of thing? Do you have any ideas on how you want to run it?
Absolutely. But first off, I just want to point out, I don't know how you did not just get excited when you said, I understand that your token doesn't inflate. How did you not get excited about that idea?
I'm a holder, okay? I'm a holder.
Well, and here's the difference: is the dude has been part of what happens when you have a drunken madman that doesn't understand the importance of ballasts and levies versus actually turning them correctly willy nilly. And dude and I have talked behind the scenes many times on stuff and things, but yeah, it's exciting because we have you that came from the experience of building on Titan X, and we're all kind of, hushing together and figuring things out. But yeah, I love that point of the question. But go ahead and answer it, GIFF.
Yeah, so I think it would be best to first understand where I come from on the whole buy and burn on Titan X. As I read through the white paper before the launch, it was very much my understanding that there was zero expectations of the buy and burn. I made my moves with Titan X based on zero expectations. So that differs a lot from the way the community ended up turning out, in my opinion. I don't think there should ever be any expectation on that. And if you do put expectation on that, it's probably because you made your moves wrong. You made it incorrectly. And it's hard to admit that you made a mistake in that respect, and I understand that. But in general, there should be no expectation. The idea of the buy and burn is that it's earmarked for only buy and burn. And I can vouch for the fact that even though we have a buy and burn contract that is proxied, there is no method within the contract to upgrade the contract to allow for withdrawals or do anything nefarious. It literally can only be used to be called within the aggregating function. So that's what it's earmarked for. So if you have something that's earmarked for only one method alone, there is particularly no reason to sit there and allow the token that it's designed to buy and burn to essentially die. And there's only a nefarious reason to run it nonstop 24/7 in order to pay people off, right? I think the general strategy, and I can only speak generally speaking, of any buy and burn should only be to keep the balance of the value of the token intact. So in the case of our specific situation, where we have a token that is created through, well, it's created, it's not inflated through purchasing a miner and waiting time and getting different bonuses based on when you got in and that sort of a deal. It's not based on that at all. It's actually created. What that means is it's very difficult to dump the price. Very difficult. Like nobody's like gaming the system. You have to put in real value to make the token come into existence. And then on top of that, Like, how many people want to bring it into existence and then dump for a loss and then do it over and over and over again, like you're addicted to losing money? Like, that's just not how it works out in this ecosystem. So really, and generally, what I'm trying to say is all you really want to do when you have a price ceiling is to keep it relatively competitive to the price ceiling. And that's the overall general strategy, if that answers your question well enough.
Somewhat. I mean, I'm taking basically slow and low from that. And I'm not trying to knock what Jake's doing. I'm just giving for an example. Like, I agree that as long as those funds can only do one thing, and that's buy and burn, then in the long run, it's headed the same direction. It's just more so like, how are you getting there? Is it a little bit of a roller coaster ride like Titan X is doing, or is it just, like a flat line, basically what Helios is doing last few weeks?
Sure. And remember that also has cascading systems. So again, we're not negative to Jake or anyone in particular because we're professionals. And as professionals, you have to be agnostic and not connected to what your professional opinion is in things. Now, sometimes I disagree on how something runs, but I'm also coming from my professional hat, not my bag hat, right? Completely different. But studying and training is different than theory and execution. And you have to change your worldview sometimes. A lot of us are Richard Hart people, right? But I've said from the beginning, I am not a Richard Hart maximalist. I'm a Richard Hart idealist, because you learn from things and you apply those things. And that inherently is different. So I just wanted to make that tip of the hat and correct and statement that, again, I'm not negging Jake or anyone. It's just, as a professional, you have to step back and look at the agnostic ways that you're developing and what those externalities are, because it does cascade onto what you guys are doing over at Helios, right? But the ideal is understanding why the importance of Helios or anything else built on Titan X, or even why Titan X is important as a case study of proof of Ethereum, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have systemic systems in the chat, but he's on vacation with his family, so he can't pop in. But I can't wait for him to come into one of our fireside chats, because this guy, if you haven't caught any of his stuff, is very quip. And I think that's one of the differences. If you look in the Pulsar main chat, we want discussion. In fact, Gifford saber rattled me that he wants the trolls, not stupid trolls, but people that want to actually have a dialogue. And we find the core component of a root of why you're confused and how do we fix it? How do we actually expose this wound and fix the bedrock around it so it's not a festering black hole of inconsistency or in not correct knowledge on what's going on? So again, please ask questions. The more questions that are asked, the better the dialogue always is. Oh my God, I'm jumping around too many telegrammers. Let's see what questions we got. Oh, Mo's here. Yo, Mo, come on up. Out of all the people, I want to hear your voice. I mean, I can't see your dog right now, but come on up, Mo. Did I?
Yeah, Mo's working. Mo's
Hey,
working. But I think we've kind of hit our allotment of time. Let's see. Systemic says, "Did you cover the difference between GIF and PGIF?" We did. I'm sure Larry's working on a recording too, so we'll have something posted for you guys to review. Will Pulsar and P-Pulsar or in its trial run or actual?
But remember that P-Pulsar is just Pulsar in general. Right now, with what we're dealing with, the pathway and the Pulsar ecosystem is dealing with E-Pulsar because we are binding two L1s together. So Pulsar is existing at its exact moment in time once deployed from Ethereum. Again, who knows what will happen? But again, there's this weird little pink elephant called Gifford Tech that now has PermaGIFF that is running a real-time simulation or use case to make sure that when Pulsar, not E-Pulsar, Pulsar goes forward, which would be the next evolution of Pulsar and the Pulsar pathway, we've battle-hardened all these questions.
So yeah, to assume that GIF and Pulsar are going to be anything other than just kind of parallel products, I think it's safe to say. I mean, I don't think that's unreasonable, but you know, this is all of this is just an experiment, and we don't know what direction we're going to go down. You know, what path we're going to take down the road. And, you know, at the end of the day, we have a lot of ambitious plans, like a lot of ambitious things that we want to build. And we're going to need tokens for this. We're going to need tokens for that. We're going to need, you know, different mechanisms to weave in and out of what our overall plan is going to be. But so I can't say that they won't be introduced with each other in some sort of a mechanic down the road. But what I can say is I'm really excited for the stream that's happening this weekend. Kinetics, are you available? Do you have internet access? Like, is your phone working? Can you talk about what we can expect this weekend?
Sorry, I'm on the other call right now with our guys from Blizzard Entertainment, so I apologize for not being available. What were you guys asking?
Oh yeah, we'll jump over here shortly. I just wanted you to cover the BitBoy and RG3 possible conversations that may be happening currently and that may be playing as a recorded conversation that may be hitting YouTube this weekend.
Yeah, so it is a pre-recorded episode. They filmed it earlier today. I believe it was about 1 o'clock Pacific time. And he is going to bring up how you, our dev, is really breaking the blockchains with new stuff that's never been done before. So he will be talking about GIF and PermaGIF and how it's the first buy and burn with the highest buy and burn in the ecosystem, but it routes through a DEX aggregator rather than just a single individual pool, and what a technological advance that is, as well as the Pulsar, where we are, as far as we know, and this blew the ETH Denver devs' minds, that we were bridging liquidity across from one chain to another, because it's a problem they've been trying to figure out how to solve for a while now. And so how we're pushing the limits on this tech with these new experiments. And so GIF and Pulsar will be discussed on this particular episode with Ben. Ben's starting to do at least once a week, having one Pulse Chain streamer on to talk about Pulse Chain. And it just happened to be Captain RG3 this week. And just with that, I'll just let you guys know, it looks like GIF, if you're interested, maybe a good buy up until about, might start, the wall really kicks in about 26, 27 pulse per GIF token. And a bunch of people are probably going to find out about this pretty quickly. So I think that's about $15,000 worth of buy that you can really get a good, decent gift bag at this point in time. So if you guys want to beat the masses that come in after the BitBoy stream, now might be your opportunity to do so. Not financial advice. Totally don't know any of you individually and what your risk tolerance is in crypto or investing, period. So just making you guys aware that this is probably going to be made aware to a lot of people here very shortly.
Beautiful.
God damn beautiful.
So with that being said, I'm actually going to hop to the meeting that we're 40 minutes late for, unless anyone has anything. If you want to wrap it up, and then we hop over to the name dropped thing that got name dropped, which I have no idea what happened.
Yeah, what a name. Well, there's a bunch of name drops here. Now we're working with Blizzard. The founders of what is their credits? How long does it go?
I'm not allowed to name drop stuff yet, but let's just say one of the people, their IP, he's got 136 game credits, 45 game titles, and my dumbass only has 7. That's one person.
I mean,
so,
they have me at StarCraft. First of all, I grew up playing StarCraft. So in World of Warcraft,
these are the people that created Diablo 1, StarCraft 1.
I was gonna say they had me at Diablo. So Diablo, StarCraft, Warcraft, World of Warcraft. Yeah.
The guy that's on the other call that you're ignoring invented Tyrael. So anyway, I'm going to jump to the other fucking call because apparently I have people that were within my ilk of what I do for a living that I'm late for. So everyone, I'm going to stop the recording and get out of here so I can adult on the other side. And thanks everyone for coming, and we'll go from there. Does that sound good, PGIFF?
Yep, I blame Kinetics for that name drop. We were not planning on doing that, but it's out there now.
He's the nipple problem person. So if the business guy name drops, you can't be what the fuck Larry on it. It's not my fault.
If anyone from this community, anyone from the Pulse Chain community knows, I went for years with being the guy that couldn't talk about it. I was excited. I just kind of, after almost 3 years of not talking about it, here I am talking about it. So. But it's a very limited audience at this point in time, so hopefully it'll just stay here for now. But if not, you know what? It's my fault. Blame me. I'm cool with it.
I mean, technically, we've got some serious shit cooking in that regard. I mean, I don't even know what a game dev is, so who knows? So anyway, stop the recording.
All right,
definitely.
We're all out of here then.
All right,
thank you everybody for showing up, and we'll do more talks down the road, like more to come. But thanks for showing up. Everybody take care.
Happy PermaGIFF Day.
Happy PermaGIFF.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.